Oh, Tom? I don't have any.
Tom, you go. That sounds good. Wonder what your top takeaways were from the scrimmage and what you want to do better this week.
Consistency. I think some things. Number one, I thought we tackled well defensively. Of course, that was probably number 5 that we've had at some portion of the practice where we tackled to the ground. They would have 12 reps, maybe at practice, 18, probably averaged around 50, 52 apiece Saturday. But I thought we punted the ball well. We did have a block on the twos, but Devin Bell's continuing to punt the ball really well. I think we have some dynamic returners. I think Shanks is a really good return guy. Defensively, I thought that we flew around the ball well. I thought, again, like I said, I think we tackled well. Offensively, I thought KJ played really well. Madden played well at quarterback. And Rodney Hill had a really good game. Broke through. I say we tackled well, but he did break a couple of tackles. Had over 100 yards. We were pretty competitive, which I like. As a head coach, you don't root one way or the other. You'd like to see some really good things on both sides of the ball, and that's what I felt like we did. We are a physical team. I think we finally got Corey Robertson back. He had been hurt a little bit. He played, got him back, so that was good to see there. But other than that, our bigs on the D line, we either had some weddings, had one leave, had a wedding to attend, and then we've had some injuries there, so we're not, getting to see everybody that we like to on the D line. We've got good linebackers. Our O-line's playing better. And I think we're starting to develop some wide receivers that we believe in as well. So I was pleased with it. Not a lot of penalties, maybe 4 total for that 104-play scrimmage. We did not play any of the threes. We just didn't have enough, in all honesty, D linemen to get to that. So we're going to scrimmage them a little bit today at the end of practice.
For the red-white game, I wonder if you settled on a format, and then people really don't want to show a lot on TV. Are y'all going to keep it very basic, both sides of the ball, or what?
I think we won't show obviously everything that we've practiced this spring, but I think if you can remember back to last year when we had a red and a white team, and we played basically our starters, twos, the first half. And then the second half, we got everybody on the team in there. So we're going to have a game full of special teams and all that. And I know the one year that I just had a scrimmage, and I felt like last year was exciting. We scored a lot of points, and then the 2 offenses didn't score a lot of points on the 1 defense. So, we've gone 14. Well, at this point, we've gone 12 practices, good on good, and we will continue to do that today and then Thursday. But then the spring game, I'd like to separate the teams just like we did before, Tom, and play 1 versus 2 and see who can develop in that format.
Sam, is there any thought to maybe signing a kicker from the portal?
No, not at all. We're pleased with our kickers that we have. We didn't have the greatest day Saturday there, but we hit the ball well. So as long, kickers, to me, you get nervous about kickers when the ball is going so fast. They're mishitting it. But that's a valid question. But no, I really like who we have.
Do you have an idea on numbers out, and not necessarily by position? You've talked about the positions you're looking at in this portal,
right.
But do you have an idea on numbers, maybe? Like
No.
how many players you would sign?
Well, I think right off the top of my head, you'd say there's two factors. One is how much money do you have to sign however many guys. That's always a factor. I think most of our, because of depth and things, we'd like to sign some guys on defense. So that number probably would be 5 if the money stretches. Now, you know, and I know that there will be some portal guys that go into the portal, not only that are in there that we're trying to get, but there'll be some guys going to the portal, and then that number will change. But if we kept the entire roster, I'd say about 5.
Do you feel like Madden has made about as much improvement from the first practice to Saturday when he was out there?
Yeah, isn't that something? I mean, he's done really well, especially coming off his, he didn't play his senior year. Very mature, well coached out of high school. But yeah, I think he's made a ton of improvement, and I think you'll see that throughout the rest of the spring and then, the summer and fall camp.
What's the portal look like for you as a head coach? Like, you got somebody in there refreshing it tomorrow and giving you updates, or what do you want to know? Obviously you're not going to be hitting the refresh button.
Well, we have somebody in there when they go in, and then we're hearing somebody's going to go in, or you see on whatever it be, X or Instagram or whatever, or you hear from a coach, or more importantly, probably an agent, and they'll call and say, so we look at them. Like today, I looked at 8, and to see where we're ranking them, and obviously Remy will do the same thing, but where we're ranking them in needs and then affordability, because part of obviously your ranking scale would have to be where you're at financially, because as we talked about, we're going to need about 5. We're figuring about 5, and then how far does the cost stretch? But we do that all the time. And again, I just went over some more guys and ranked them, re-ranked who we had on the board. But like offensive linemen, I'm not looking at offensive linemen because I think we're fine there. And quarterbacks, I'm not looking at quarterbacks. So it can change, Trey, as you well know, if somebody comes in and decides to go into portal. But as of right now, that's where we're at, and it's just a process through Hub, me, the position coach, and then Remy.
Obviously, some guys probably on your team are going to make some decisions probably too. Is there any concern with guys in your first, second team, guys that you're really looking at to contribute that might hit the portal?
No. No, but, you really don't know what goes on behind the scenes. In other words, you don't know if somebody's been obviously they can't go to another SEC school, but as we're finding out more and more, each college, each league is getting more and more money, depending on, right now you can still do it the donor way, with the collective until, the ruling changes. No, but I don't know exactly what's going on behind closed doors. But we talk as a staff about it all the time, and there's a couple of guys, but the ones we're hearing about are not, high on the depth chart. Disgruntled maybe because of where they're at on the depth chart.
You mentioned you liked your linebackers. What have been your impressions of Brad Shaw as the spring's progressed?
If we end up playing a lot of 3 down front, I think Brad, you decide is your 4th D lineman physical, is he more valuable than having Brad Shaw on the field? And so we've looked at that. We looked at it Saturday in the scrimmage as well. So Brad Shaw is a really good player that can run. So he'll play a ton of football for us. How much will depend really on where we feel about, are we going to be in that odd front with a big standing on the outside, or are we going to be in that odd front with Brad Shaw playing that edge?
And And then, of course, holding out for good weather this weekend, but there's a chance things could get altered. Is there a plan right now for if there is rain?
Yeah, if it's rain, we're going to try to, as long as fans are going to come in here, we're going to try to play the game. And I think to me that's what the spring game's all about is letting folks that can't come to practice or the public see the team. So if we can do that, we certainly will. Now, if it's a downpour or lightning or something like that, then what we would do is we'd have a lengthy autograph session, meet the team. What I won't do, which I did maybe 3 years ago when it was bad weather, we went in the indoor and practiced. We invited the parents in there. I'm not going to do that. So we're going to try to do all we can to have the game, and we will, unless weather is just so bad that we can't. The people that we're having the game for aren't here, and if that's the case, then we won't do it. But we'll certainly have that autograph session and meet the team and all that. We will not go in indoor and practice if we can't practice out here in the stadium.
On that note, would you have a 15th practice like another day, or would that just wash it out and be done at that point?
Probably not. In the old days, a lot of times guys would save a practice after the spring game. And to be honest with you, it never was any good. I mean, and this was before the portal. And so I think, my thoughts is I'd like to keep my staff in, so we could. We're not going to, but that's a good question. We've done so much physical stuff this spring and tackled, several different days that I think we've gotten out of spring what we know our team. I'm going to keep our staff in for the week afterwards. Basically, our staff's going to be in until the portal closes. And then they'll have 4 weeks to go out and recruit after that. And it's different. Some coaches will have 11 days out. Some will have 13. I think the most is Eric and Deke, and they have 16. So we'll be able to cover that, counting Saturday scrimmages and things like that. We'll be able to cover that. But to me, it was really important that we stay in, close up with our team, and visit with our team and get through the portal. The other thing is you're having guys come in and you're sending somebody out and you don't know who's in the portal, and this position comes back, and then you've got to fly him back. Very costly as well. So that's exactly what we're going to do. But because of the portal, we won't have that even if this game somehow with lightning or whatever is not played.
I wanted to ask you another linebacker, Tavion Wallace.
Yeah,
Has he
I really
lived up
like him.
to what you were expecting out of him?
Yeah, I like him a lot. He can run. Shelton's another guy that's playing the hog. Those are two young guys that have shown up. But I really like Wallace and has done some really good things. I think he'll help us in a lot of ways, but I know he'll help us on special teams. And that's how a lot of guys get their start. They get on the field, they make plays, and the next thing you know, they're playing on defense.
Today, you already mentioned quarterback and offensive line feeling good there. But before the spring, I think you said, when you envision the spring portal, not many additions on the offensive side. Man, is that the same case? Whereas right now with the roster you have, obviously guys could jump in, but it's going to be a defensive focus in the portal.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not saying that we would not take an offensive guy out of the portal. I'm not saying that. The plan is not to, but I'm not saying that we may. It depends on who goes out too, and if we have a scholarship at a wide receiver or something like that, would we take one? Absolutely. But right now we're at 85 scholarships, and so you have to certainly, before you can replace a scholarship, somebody's got to go in the portal.
Early on in the scrimmage, there were quite a few moments of Talon tucking it and running. It seemed like he got a little bit more comfortable in the pocket as the day went on. I'm just curious what your thoughts were on that, and maybe was it guys not getting open? Just what was maybe the initial start? A lot of tucking and running, and then he started finding.
I think he just was waiting. I think he was hesitating there and looking for the big strike, and and had some opportunities just to dump the ball, throw the ball short, looking for maybe more of a big hit. And he knows that, he can use his legs. And that's the thing about there's a lot of reasons that are tough in the spring on a quarterback because he can't get hit and a D lineman can't hit him and all that, but he also can't show his athletic ability. And a lot of times you go and you might forget it. In other words, he runs out of the pocket and he goes down the sideline for 70 yards. You go, man, that was a good tuck, a good no throw, you know what I mean? Or he runs out and gets sacked and you're going, man, you should have thrown the ball. So those are very difficult in the spring to evaluate, except, when I talk to the offensive staff and coach, he just needed to get rid of the ball a little bit, throw it on rhythm a little bit faster.
And then I guess going to years past, have you noticed a difference in the energy amongst the group in that first Tuesday practice leading up to the red-white game?
Well, I like the team. I like the camaraderie of the team. I like the age of the team. Even the young guys are mature. It's fun to get up in front of them and talk to them and coach them, and you don't see the head hanging or the look of coach don't know what he's talking about when Scott's up there in special teams, from when I'm talking to him, where the coordinators are talking to him, the position coaches. It's just been a team that it's amazing how you put a team together. It is nowadays. And I think that's everywhere. Obviously, we've had our fair share of guys, in the portal. But I just like the group of guys. I think it's a lot to have to do with the leadership of Talon and Sorey and Dix and those guys. Devin Bell, but I do. I like this team. I like the physicality of the team. I like the speed of the team, and I like the character of the team.
And I guess for you as an individual, how do you handle the busyness everywhere of managing spring football practices as well as the portal?
I don't know. I can't say that because I said I don't know one time. I got all beat up on it. I do know. That was a joke. My Lord. A lot of hours, a lot of help, a lot of film watching, a lot of phone calls. We have needs. First of all, you have to figure out where your needs are, and then you have to go find them, and that goes from the coach to me to Remy to whomever. There's a lot going on. Do I wish that we would have one portal? Yes, I do. I think it's very difficult after you've gone through a spring to find out what your team's, because that's why you have spring ball. What's your team going to look like after spring ball, and then the portal opens for 10 days after that. I'm not for sure. The portal opens whenever you're, the 16th. So whenever you decide to have your spring over, I just think it's very, very difficult because not only do we, the state, need to know who's on our football team and what kind of football we have, the players themselves need to know who's on the team and who's going to stay with the team. So it's very difficult. The hours are strong right now, but that's why you pay you, and that's why you call you the head coach. So I'm excited about all that, but I'd be lying if I told you I'm excited about the portal open tomorrow. I don't think any coach in America is.
And then what has been your impression of Monte Harrison, a guy at wideout who's been, I think, running with the twos, but has, over the last few practices made some good grabs?
Made some plays, made some one-handed catches, made some one-on-one contested balls, 50-50 balls. Just his consistency, if he becomes more consistent with urgency and route running and all that, I think he could move up even higher than that, which I think he will. Obviously, you imagine you going and playing baseball for a long period of time and then coming back to football. It's just different. But I'm very proud of him. He's made plays. I think he'll make more as soon as he understands everything a little bit better.
Sitting in the stands watching the scrimmage Saturday, it looked like Quincy Rhodes really played well. Is that kind of how you graded out and stuff?
Yeah, he did. You know, that's one going in. The great thing about coaching, and it doesn't matter where it's high school, junior high, whatever, you've got a guy and you're going, well, man, he's got talent, but I don't see him making plays or, you know, whatever it may be. And there was really those three guys with Ian Griffard and Danny and Quincy Rhodes. Those guys were going, man, they're very talented. When are they going to let it turn loose, you know? And all three of those guys have. Really, really excited about those guys. But, you know, I love Quincy's. You know, he came in here. He's easy to deal with. He good family, and he's talented. You know, when he walks by, you're going, okay, that's an SEC defensive end or tight end or something. That's a hell of a good-looking player. And now his motor and his knowledge, Deke's done a really good job with him, is paying off for him. And I'm glad you mentioned him because I've been really excited about him.
Saturday, J.J. Shelton may have had the best lick out there. Is that something? I mean, a lot of times a true freshman like that, just been here a couple of months, won't
That's right.
be that aggressive. You're really impressed with him in that
I
regard?
am, you know, and the other thing too, he's a linebacker. You know, we moved him out to the hog position, and so you're dealing with a lot more space. Now you're not dealing with a nickel Willie. You know, I mean, he's played that, you know, obviously, but it's a different. In college, it's a little bit different position. It's not your third linebacker, let's say that. It's a guy that can do both. But I tell you, he gets better all the time, and I think he's going to be a really, really good player for us. And you're right, he had a hell of a lick on Saturday.
Cross Johnson, a lot of fans, they didn't know much about him. The fans didn't when he first got here, but it seems like he's another kid that's getting better every practice and stuff.
Yeah, I think he's we're certainly, you know, we try to get in that top six. He's right in there right now. Again, I think he's got the talent for that. I think once he gets everything smoothed out a little bit more and breaking away from defenders and route running and consistent urgency, I think because he's very, very talented. He wants to be good, so I think he'll just keep improving. Got a lot of speed.
When we move to the newer model with the revenue sharing and NIL deals have to go through the clearinghouse, I think it's like $600. Do you think we'll see more parity in college football, or do you think we'll still see a lot of workarounds on the NIL side of things?
I think both. I think it should get us even again. We've got the same amount of money as somebody else. We have a player that's worth X amount of dollars. We didn't say this is how much you're worth. We did in the revenue sharing, but we, you know, outside of that, we didn't say that. A committee said that. These numbers of millions of dollars and all that, where you can earn outside of revenue sharing, man, I don't see. I mean, it's going to be difficult. Now, if you're worth it, the committee's going to say you're worth it. But I do think there's going to be much more parity. I also think that there's going to be schools that try to find a way around it. But I think it should, you know, Trey, you're talking about cost of attendance, books, room, board, books, tuition fee, then went to cost of attendance, and everybody goes, oh, my Lord, we're already paying for their scholarship and all this, and then now it's cost of attendance. And now we're doing all that and paying them, you know, Alston, we're paying them money for academics, you know what I mean? And so I think everybody would agree it got out of hand there for a couple of years, and the parity financially was certainly not there. And I think this takes us back to me where we were when we first came in here. What is fair and what do they have and what do I have? And if that's the case, then I've said it before, we were able to go from 4-20 to top 20 before all this came in, and I think we can return to that, and I think it'll be more parity in football.
As far as high school recruiting right now, I know you can't comment specifically,
Yeah.
but You got around a dozen commitments. You
Yeah.
feel like you're a little ahead of pace where you normally be?
Well, we are, number-wise, we are ahead of pace. I think what happens with that, Trey, then June can be a little more selective, which then we have to be a little bit more selective as we're bringing guys in. But yeah, I think our guys have went out and done a good job there. It depends on what you want to do. Do you want to spend, all your money to get a top 5 class in the country, and then not be able to pay the guys on the team? For us, we'll take care of the team first, and then come back to the young guys and pay them respectively, but have them earn that money to get it back. So we're a little bit, I don't know, we're probably about 50-50 with other teams in how they're running their freshmen. But at the same time, that's your cornerstone. If they'll stay with you, that's the cornerstone. And I've been really pleased with our recruiting department and our coaches, because we are ahead of schedule where we normally have been over the last 2 or 3 years.
I just got my question on Quincy's scrimmage because, look, he really flashed.
He
But
did.
I'm going to expand that to your front 6. Because Sorey, we had him with 3 sacks. I just
Yeah.
wondered, what you thought the first unit front 6 looked like.
Very disruptive and a lot of movement, right, as you saw. A lot of movement, a lot of blitzing, a lot of – and that, to be honest with you, that may be who we are, because we can run. With that, can you play man coverage? And we played it pretty well, I thought, on Saturday. So I believe, the thing about that too is, Tom, is that we've got several guys. Boone was one of them that was at a wedding. But, we've got several guys, Boone, Talley, Campbell, that weren't in that picture. So I think if you're a Hog fan, or I know you're a Hog fan, as we're family, but I also know that you root for the Hogs. And so my point is, I think you could be excited about adding these other guys with what we have. Will we add a linebacker? We might. But adding those guys with what we have, we could be pretty darn good, I think.
The flip side of that, the front O-line, what did you make of their day?
Yeah, I didn't think we played as consistent there. We've had some good drives and like that, but with Corey coming back for the first time in 4 practices, we got out of him about what we thought. But I like that group. Kobe Branham, when he gets back, I think he'll certainly help us as well. But Marion Harris is proven that he can play tackle and guard. And then Shaq, his consistency will come too as he gets more and more reps. So I thought that group played a little better than okay. We've got our work cut out for us to get better and better, but I think that we will. We have the talent there to do that, and I feel like we will.
How are y'all doing health-wise? Do you think there's going to be enough guys to go with the 3s on Saturday, or?
If we can get through the 3s today, there will be. To be honest with you, the major concern about the spring game, besides the weather, is our 3s on the D-line. Where are we on the D-line? We've had some broken hands, nothing major. Braylon had a slight MCL, which he'll be out for spring, but as of this press conference right now, it looks like it's non-surgical and can heal on its own in a couple of weeks, but 2 to 3 weeks. But that would be the major concern, just the D-line. So if we can get 3s in the D-line, and I think Kavion Henderson will be back by then, so that'll add one. Boone coming back, that'll add another guy. Caleb Bell's got his head's dinked up a little bit. He got a mild concussion, so we'll see if he can get back or not.
And I know the NCAA, said no for this year, but I guess Deion Sanders at Colorado wanted to do like some joint practices and like scrimmage for a spring game. Is that something you would be interested in exploring in the future?
Isn't it amazing how Some coaches want more. They want spring opportunities to, like the NFL, to practice against somebody. And then other coaches don't even want to have a spring game, and they want to go out there in underwear and shorts and no helmet. You know, isn't it amazing? So for me, we are very physical in the spring. So for me, I probably wouldn't be for that, but I can understand why coaches are and all that. But the other thing too, with the portal and all that, if they don't close it to 1, I don't know that you'd want to scrimmage another team. You'd have to watch the other coaches going, who are you trying to get off my team? If I was a 1AA team and you were scrimmaging Arkansas, I'd be miserable, because if somebody made a play against University of Arkansas, one of their coaches go make a play on that kid. And so you got to think about a lot of things. You know, nobody's televising spring games anymore because of that fact. So I think there's a lot to think about. But for me personally, and not against Coach Sanders or anything else, for me, I wouldn't be for that.
Coach, I asked Bobby the other day when he was in here, Antonio Jordan, you feel like he can contribute pretty quickly when he comes in here?
I'll tell you this, when Ronnie went and watched him, he thought he was the Taj Mahal, baby. And watching him on tape, a big physical guy, love the kid, just a great kid. And well coached. Obviously, Bo Embry is one of the best coaches in the state of Arkansas, and has that respect. So if anybody can do it, it'd be that combination of coach, player, person, family. So we're going to find out, I promise you.
Coach, do you think that you'll move to a model where there is just the one transfer portal in January, I guess?
You know, trade numbers being thrown out there, which I don't know, you know, if it's going to pass or not pass or whatever. The one number was January 2 through the 12th. And, you know, to me, that's a great time. But, you know, what if you're in the playoffs, just like basketball, and then here comes this. It's not that the kids will go in the portal, it's the ability to say, if I don't get this, I may not play in the semifinal game. And you got problems, you know. So I don't know when the ideal would be, but the one portal window that I heard thrown around was January 2 through 12, and that would be great. You could have Christmas without, I hope that phone doesn't ring, you know. You could be with your family, whether it be in a bowl game or not, and not worry about, you know, who's getting in the portal. And man, it would make life a lot better. But I don't know what is February 1 till February 12th the best, you know, is that the best time? Well, you can't do that because they can't get into spring ball. They can't get in, you know. So January 2, 12 is what I've heard. To me, that's the one portal. To me, that's the best option right now. Thanks, guys.